Do you remember when Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker died like ages ago and he came back and then we never saw him again? Well, Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker has returned in the Spider-Man 2 miniseries, which I just reviewed. So it features 616 Peter Parker and Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker returns in issue 5. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch my reviews. You can click the link in the description or in the comments or like up here somewhere or whatever. Go check it out because the Ultimate Universe is back. What is going on, guys? Welcome to this video. My name is Cameron, and as you can see, I'm in front of that new log fire that I told you guys about. Hopefully none of these guys melt or set on fire, because we've got Groot, Spider-Man, Reverse Flash and the Flash there, and it is roasted in front of this thing, so just close that. So this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 102, and in this issue we're going to be pretty much figuring out where these alternate clones came from, like these multiple clones of like randomness with the Scorpion clone and the Spider-Man with the 6 arms and then the one with the scarred face, and of course Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, who is also a clone of Peter Parker as well. So we're going to be figuring out all of that in this issue. But what happened in the previous one? Well, if you remember, the Carnage symbiote was obliterated, and in its wake was left a human Gwen Stacy. And if you remember, we started to hate Nick Fury, who was being a little bit too forward, arresting Peter Parker, kind of blaming him for this whole cloning situation that was going on, even though he had nothing to do with it. And luckily the Fantastic Four were there to help Peter sort this situation out. One of the most annoying things as well was that Aunt May actually had a heart attack in the house, and Nick Fury just did not care whatsoever. So you can tell that the stakes are high and it's a little bit heartless in some areas, but luckily the Fantastic Four are there to sort of bring all of that back. I actually really liked it how Mr. Fantastic, aka Reed Richards, was so intrigued by the Carnage symbiote instead of being afraid of it, which I thought was really, really awesome. We've also got to remember towards the end of the issue that Mary Jane actually turned into a giant freaking monster because the scarred Peter Parker injected the Oz formula into her, and well, it kind of went weird and bad. So yeah, we're going to be seeing that in this issue, and pretty much it's only going to get better from here on out. So guys, I hope you enjoy this issue. I hope you enjoyed the previous issue, but now we've caught up, it's time to get into this review. But just before we carry on, that whole Spider-Man 2 issue 5 with the return of the Ultimate Universe and everything, I'm actually doing a giveaway for that Spider-Man 2 issue on my Instagram, so the link's in the description. All you have to do is like it and follow me on Instagram, and that is it, and you are entered into the giveaway. So check that out, link in the description. And yeah, now that we've got all that out of the way, let's get into this awesome Ultimate Spider-Man comic. Let's go. Okay, so we're opening up the issue, and you can see that the issue is picking directly from where the previous issue left off, with Peter Parker being arrested for all of this craziness that's gone on. And what I actually like about the opening page is that it gives you the sense and suggestion that Peter Parker's life is genuinely over, like this is it. And I just love how awesome Mark Bagley has drawn this artwork, with Peter's eyes absolutely streaming because he's crying so much. And honestly, not only does it seem like Peter Parker's life is over, but it also seems like his worst nightmares coming true as well. I mean, Gwen Stacy's come back from the dead, she turned into the monster that killed her in the first place, Aunt May's just had a heart attack, and Mary Jane has been kidnapped. And let's not forget that his father also returned out of the blue as well. So this entire clone saga is just packed up with all of this craziness. But anyway, moving on throughout the issue, you can see that Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, actually got Peter Parker out of that situation, and they are actually on their way to where they think the other clones could be. Now we finally have this awesome reveal of who is behind the mask of Spider-Woman, and yes, it is Jessica Drew. Obviously, we know her quite well now, but she is a female clone of Peter Parker. And this is sort of the beginning of where we sort of get the rundown on what actually happened and why the clones were created and when were they created and all of that awesome stuff. Also, I think the part where she reveals herself to Peter Parker to be a clone actually does set in with us as the reader of how crazy this story actually is. I mean, she's literally a female version of Peter Parker. It is so weird, but obviously very accepted because Jessica Drew is actually an awesome character. Now, as we start going into the backstory of where these clones came from and who they came from, etc., we actually go back to this character known as Ben Reilly. Now, obviously, it's really funny that this character is called Ben Reilly because the Peter Parker clone from the original Clone Saga was called Ben Reilly as well. We now know him as Scarlet Spider, not the Kane version, but the Ben Reilly version. So in the Ultimate Universe, you can see that Ben Reilly is actually a scientist who is responsible for creating the clones. And I really like how that's a nice Easter egg, and that's actually coming back from this Ben Reilly working with Dr. Connors and actually obtaining a blood sample of Peter Parker, and that is what was used to create these clones. So I like how it all sort of intertwines, and it's sort of bringing back the past up to the present. So all those things that happened with Dr. Kurt Connors ages ago, I'm talking like 50 issues ago or more, that's pretty much coming back to haunt Peter now. And it's a really cool thing to see stuff that happened previously, like ages ago, is still relevant as we continue to get throughout the series. It's almost like nothing goes to waste, and I like that. Now, going on to what's happening on screen, you can see that they are trying to actually turn Jessica Drew's thoughts and everything like that into what technically, like, make her her own person, because right now she still thinks that she's Peter Parker technically, and so they're trying to give her her own identity. But as everything's about to happen, and as she's like about to have all her memories erased and all that crazy stuff, the Carnage symbiote actually breaks free, unleashing all of the other clones. And I just love it how all the clones are like stood in a circle, sort of seeing each other, and all of them thinking it's crazy. But what you've got to realize is that Jessica Drew is the most perfect clone out of all of them. So the other ones actually do have flaws, whether it's with the way they think or whether it's the way they look. I mean, you've got one that actually looks like a spider or something right there, and then obviously one with the scarred face. And of course, the one with the scarred face is the one that's sort of representing that Psycho clone, so he's probably the most unstable one out of them all. Hence why he's kidnapped Mary Jane and turned her into a giant monster. Now, really quickly, as we come up to the final few pages of the issue, I just want to mention that my favourite moment was when Jessica Drew and Peter Parker were on top of that truck, and Peter was having like a meltdown, and Jessica mentioned about how at least he's the real Peter Parker, she's not a real anything. And I thought that was so funny because they were both freaking out, but for some reason Jessica thought that she was in a worse situation. But anyway, now that I've said that, yeah, as you can see, Jessica and Peter Parker have made it to Oscorp, where the messed up clone of Peter Parker has injected Mary Jane with the Oz formula, turning her into a raging monster. And it's all so super crazy. And you can see that we've also got this other clone here as well with the 6 arms. And even he thinks that this Psycho clone is doing the wrong thing with Mary Jane. So yeah, it's bad. But I do love it how the real Peter Parker just takes a one-punch hit straight to this Psycho clone and knocks him clean out. And then as we get onto the final page of the comic, it is revealed that Dr. Octopus has returned, and he is potentially the one who's behind all of these crazy clones running about. And of course, that's like the worst thing ever, because Dr. Octopus, he's been such a major villain in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and of course, he's a really beloved character for us in the Ultimate Universe as a villain. But to have him behind these clones, that ain't good, and it's also quite scary, and it gets so much better because there is a twist coming up. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed reading this issue, but let's go back on camera and discuss some of this in a bit more detail. What an issue! The entire issue was pretty much explaining where these clones came from, and it was really helped by Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, jumping in and grabbing Peter Parker out of that situation with Nick Fury and about to be arrested and everything. Yeah, I don't understand why Nick Fury is only arresting Peter Parker. Like, it just seems like there's so many other options. Like, he could even work with Peter Parker to capture all of these clones, you know what I mean? So it seems like he's really being closed-minded to all other options, and I don't really like that too much. But of course, it is a serious situation. A human being has been cloned multiple times, and so Nick Fury is probably just thinking of like the best option. Like right now, he's probably just getting Peter Parker arrested, and then he'd probably make better decisions from there on out. One of the things that I thought was really awesome was when Peter Parker and Jessica Drew were on top of that like train or whatever it was, or that truck, when they were on their way to Oscorp, and Peter Parker was freaking out, talking about how his brain not just shut off and put him into a coma. And the best part was Jessica Drew shouting at him, saying at least he's real, and that she's not really a real anything. And I thought that was hilarious because of course it was like two Peter Parkers just arguing with each other, and obviously Peter Parker is the real Peter Parker, so Jessica Drew sees it as though he's got less problems, and I thought that was just really amazing and a really good sort of character connection and development between those two things, because it really feels like Spider-Woman could be in this Ultimate Spider-Man series or in another series of her own for the future. And of course, that is indeed what happens. That is why she's such sort of like a main character to this Ultimate Spider-Man saga, because she's actually being set up to have her own series and sort of continue in the Marvel universe as her own character. So I really like how you can see that being set up, and of course she has a lot of character dialogue. She's in this story quite a little bit more than all of the other Spider-Man clones, and you can tell right off the bat that she's actually a really likable character. She's pretty much is Peter Parker, but just a girl version. Of course, one of the most shocking parts of the entire issue was that not only did Peter Parker see Mary Jane as this crazy monster and sort of seeing everything that's going on, but at the very end of the issue, in the final panel, we had Dr. Octopus return, and it turns out that he could potentially be the person behind all of these clones of Peter Parker. And of course, that's the worst thing ever, because Dr. Octopus is crazy. Hello, Mum. What? Yeah, I'm recording a video in the living room, so go away. Okay, that's fine. But anyway, so yeah, Dr. Octopus returned, and that is super crazy because he's been a major villain for the majority of the Ultimate Spider-Man series and that universe. And it's only going to get better from here, because now that you know that Dr. Octopus is involved in it, you know it's going to be good pretty much. I also think it was really nice how Mary Jane actually recognized the real Peter Parker and sort of powered down and calmed down and everything like that. So I thought that was really cool. But now the next couple of issues is going to be focusing on how to turn Mary Jane back to normal and to pretty much sort out all of these clones, and of course to stop Dr. Octopus. But there is a massive twist. I think it's in the next issue, or like the issue after that maybe. But there is a twist, and it is unbelievably good. And yes, it's to do with Dr. Octopus and the clones and all of that. So guys, look out for that next issue. But as for the rating of this issue, it's time to rate it. And of course, like always, I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. I thought that the character interaction between Jessica Drew and Peter Parker was so awesome. Just the parts where they were arguing, it was amazing. And I think it was the right time for Peter Parker to actually learn about the entire situation with the clones. I feel like if they dragged it out for another couple of issues, then it would have gotten a little bit boring. So I like that Brian Michael Bendis, the writer, actually kept this clone saga bunched up into a good amount of issues. I think he's done that really well. So anyway guys, that is it for this video. That is it for this Ultimate Spider-Man comic book review. Remember, the clone saga is not over yet. We've got like another 2 or 3 issues yet, and there is still so much that is going to happen. There's going to be some twists. There's going to be some stuff that happens with Peter and Mary Jane. Look out for it. It is so awesome. But guys, if you liked this video, hit the like button. If you want more, if you want to follow more, hit the subscribe button. And remember, Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker and the Ultimate Universe returns in Spider-Man 2 issue 5, which I've already reviewed. Link is in the description or up here somewhere. Check it out. It is freaking amazing. But also don't forget, I am doing a giveaway for that Spider-Man 2 issue 5 on my Instagram as well. The link is in the description. Just like the picture and follow me on Instagram, and you are entered into winning. I'll be announcing the winner this week-ish, so yeah, enter quickly. Check out my second YouTube channel as well. The link is in the description. And of course, guys, let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I will see you all in my next video. Goodbye. Oh, so warm.